guys. This is Josie with Emotional Wisdom. I'm jumping on here unannounced. I did not announce it on my social media platforms, so I do apologize for those that like to tune in when I'm live. I'm gonna do some storytelling in regards to a concept that entails experiencing fear after losing someone you've learned to love or someone that you depend on, such as a parent, a sibling, a child, an authority figure that you emotionally depended on. Yes, or a significant other for that matter, and losing them through death. I want to focus on the death aspect. I know that when we lose someone we've learned to love, such as a husband or a significant other, that in and of itself, when you break up and you've loved them, that is a sense of loss. And yes, that could be also categorized losing them physically, like death-wise, but right now I just kind of want to zero in on the losing someone death-wise, where you know you will never see them again. Yeah, so that's going to be the storytelling. Hopefully it will be useful for some of you that have lost people we've loved dearly, and I feel like it's totally appropriate considering what we're still experiencing globally, as well as what I have experienced recently as well. So I know that many of you who have lost, people, parents, siblings, children, have reached out to me to share. And I am very grateful. And if I can be that support system for you guys, let's create that community here. Okay, so I am gonna go on here and proceed with the storytelling. So I, this weekend, was reminiscent, or rather said I was conversing. Hi, Michelle. I was conversing with a dear friend of mine. I apologize, a family member. And we were discussing how it feels to lose someone we love and someone we depend on. In her case, were both of her parents. In similar time frames, mine was my dad from COVID. And we were reminiscent on and just talking and sharing our emotions and how we felt after experiencing their loss. And I shared with her how I felt after experiencing my mother's loss, and kind of like put it into perspective and just shine light and just understand ourselves through the process on deeper layers. So very, very interesting how she conveyed that when she lost her parents, she went into this deep fear. It was like a deep, deep fear of, wow, I'm not really protected. Something can happen to me, something can happen to my daughter, and I'm not really protected. I thought that was very interesting when she said that, because I had felt that with my mom and again with my father. So let me go a little bit into detail with why that may happen, or share with you how we felt, and if anyone else has felt the same thing, please comment below, share your story, or private message me as you guys have been doing. But she mentioned that, she had faith that her family would always be here, although she would always experience struggles, health struggles with her parents. She said she knew in her heart that her parents were going to be safe, that she was going to keep her parents for a long time, and that she was protected. And so she had faith, and believed. She was aware that she would, encounter struggles, but yet always overcame those struggles. As I was hearing her mention this, I started thinking of me with my mom. I have always been a person that has immense faith. I've always had that belief system of everything happens for a reason. Always when I was little, I would always look at the stars and things would happen, and I would always say they're happening for a reason, and they're happening for a reason. I just don't understand in the moment, but I will. But I always had faith that God and my angels and my spirit guides and were protecting me. My mom was also very religious. She was extremely Catholic. We would pray every day. We were that family that would pray every day. So I was raised with the Catholicism really embedded in my life and in my belief system. So I, in fact, thought that I wanted to be a nun at a point in time and realized that wasn't going to work. But it's interesting how in my family there's a lot of people involved in ministry and stuff like that. But my mom was always very faithful, would pray, and she was, just God. We grew up with God in our lives. So I felt for the most part that I was protected as well. That for some odd reason, I felt like nothing can happen to our family. Maybe this is a thing that we all feel. It's impossible that something could really happen in our family. But I felt it more so because I had God in my life. And because I would pray to God, and I would always say, protect my family. Although I would see my mom very sick as well, growing up, and my dad go through major anxiety, at the end of the day, I always felt they're going to be fine, like her, like my dear relative. So when my mom passed, I was in shock. Although I was simulating to a degree, her passing in 2010, October of 2010, I still felt this fear. Like, wow, my mom was very devoted to God. She was a student of God, and carried his beliefs or his concepts, passed them on to us. And it's interesting that he didn't protect her. That's what I would think, what I felt at the time. God and, the Virgin Mary and the angels really didn't protect my mom. And she was an instrument to this world, right? I felt that she had a purpose, and why was she taken? So that was the moment when I really started understanding that anything's possible, that something can happen to any of my family members, any of my close, immediate family members. And that's just life, which is very interesting how we don't really think that it could happen, right? So it's when I knew, wow, I can lose someone. We can lose, we can experience major losses, out of nowhere at any given moment, and it's possible. So it did create a sense of, feeling unsafe, but also, obviously, she was my catalyst to continue to unveil into the person that I am today. So fast forward, losing my dad. Although I knew it was probable losing someone that close, my father in this case, it was still very surreal and very dramatic. And I think the dramatic part was losing him through the virus. And I want to say that the moment I lost him, literally the next day, I woke up with styes in my eyes. It was really essentially one sty that really was like big, and it manifested. The other eye had infection. I can feel the infection in my eye, but still yet hadn't swollen or hadn't developed into the full sty. Um, but I knew when I woke up, that it was because I was afraid. I was afraid. I didn't feel secure. I felt that as time went by, that it could get more unsafe, that this world can get more unsafe, that anything can happen to me, to my significant other, to my siblings, to those that were still alive within my immediate family, that anything could happen to them in any given moment. And that to me was very unsettling. It was very unstable. So essentially I feared for what the future had in store, for what I was going to see and witness and experience with all this change that we were experiencing in the world. So just remembering how fear just flowed through me, I was able to really, really connect with my family member that was mentioning how she's, battling that fear. What am I going to do with myself? What am I going to do if something happens? How am I going to protect my daughter? And it's interesting because for me, I don't have any kids. And if I had kids, I would be very worried. I would be worried as to, oh my God, can I protect my children from unforeseen events, or just even from anything for that matter? So I guess what I want to share here, and the main point is, I want to know first if you guys out there have experienced this fear that we're speaking of, right after losing someone that you thought there's no way that they would pass or they would die, suddenly, and then all of a sudden experiencing that loss and then being overwhelmed with fear of, holy moly, this death is real, and it can happen at any given moment, and we have zero control of that. Granted, losing someone through old age, it's completely different. We know that's the nature of life, right? You live up to a certain age and then we pass. But when we lose people at an early age and from a sudden moment, it gets very, very, it gets scary, right? You feel like anything can happen. Like I said, I don't have any kids to be worried about that, but I knew what I was worried about. Immediately, I was worried about my siblings. I was worried about my sister. I was worried about my significant other. I was worried about, oh my God, what could be. And it really happened after losing my dad from this experience. Granted, I have gained much awareness from his passing. He has opened doors within me that I wanted to keep closed, or that I didn't know that I had them closed, and I wanted apparently no part of. But because I lost him, I went into a deeper layer of grief, helping me understand more of aspects of me that I kept in the shadows. And that was liberating. That was inspiring. That was encouraging. That was uplifting. And in fact, I still feel like I have a connection with my dad. He's still with me, not in physical form, but still in me. And I'm learning that to label things completely different. Death being seen more as a transition, and opposed to a loss. Although I understood that concept through my mom's passing, I'm making it more tangible, more real, again, going into a deeper layer of understanding with my father. But yeah, going back to the objective as far as fear, experiencing fear, an immense fear, a kind of fear that you don't feel stable in, and you feel scared to see what the future has in store for all of us once we lose people that we depended on, and emotionally, and also losing them in ways that is traumatic, like losing them through the virus, through COVID, through this pandemic, and or losing them in riots or in protestings or in any of that nature that we're experiencing in today's times, could be very impactful on our nervous system, causing for us to not feel safe and unease being in this world. So yeah, I want to know your comments, your thoughts. If you guys experienced this fear after losing someone you loved immensely, message me or private message me if that makes you feel more comfortable. I'm very excited and eager to know and possibly help you shine some light through the process of me, integrating aspects of myself through this journey that I have assigned myself to experience, although I don't remember, but I know that prior to me incarnating, I knew that I was going to be experiencing deep, impactful experiences, ones that are going to lead me into greater, deeper layers of integration, so we can ultimately ascend into the human beings we are meant to be. So, with all the love and full acceptance, Josie.